for everyone. In the last episode, Engel got injured and has gone to the hospital and is still missing. And the fact that he is age 5, it's not looking good for his chances. But while we get started here... we also moved the ranch around, so now we have more targets to work with. Anyway, okay, so as we get started here, at the end of the last episode, I started talking about Pennsylvania, and I realized that I have very rarely talked about Pennsylvania on the show. And it's not for any real reason, it's just because I don't talk about Pennsylvania much. But it's weird because Pennsylvania is actually where I wouldn't say I grew up the most, because I certainly grew up more being here in Ohio, because I've lived in Ohio for 20 years, including most of my formative years. But Pennsylvania did significantly affect my my personality, and I don't want to bring everybody down, but so I moved to Pennsylvania. Okay, Tabby gets scolded. The other two get praised. So I moved to... I was born in Indiana, and I moved to Pennsylvania when I was 9. And while I was in Indiana, it was up to 3rd grade, and everybody loved me, and I don't know why. And looking back, I really don't know why. I think it was because I was... I don't know, maybe at that age, everybody kind of likes everybody. Like, I never really thought about when bullying starts. But for me, bullying started in 3rd grade when I moved to Pennsylvania. And the 4 years I spent in Pennsylvania were horrible for me in school. Like, I was just constantly bullied about everything. I've talked about some of these things on the show before. Where, like, it got so bad in elementary that, the kids were actually taking bets, not literal bets, but they were having contests every day to see who could make me cry the fastest and the hardest. And they would use multiple techniques to do it. They'd attack my family, or they'd attack me, or I would make some sort of mistake and they would attack me. If anybody knows me now, personally, and probably beyond what you guys know me as, I'm a perfectionist. I'm very careful with what I do, and I try not to make mistakes. And I think part of the reason I'm like that is because when I was a kid, if I made any mistake at all, if I flubbed words, Oh, okay. As usual, since we're at this area, I'm going to have to mute the game audio during fights because that's what gets me content ID'd on YouTube. So during the fights themselves, there will be no music, or no audio for that matter. Alright, so anyway. So I tend to be overly careful with my words and my actions because it's sort of ingrained in me that if I make any sort of mistake, then someone's going to mock me and I'm going to get emotionally upset as a result, and so on and so on. Which sucks, and it's a horrible way to live. And it's weird because Pennsylvania holds a lot of good memories for me. I can still sit here, and even as I'm talking to you now, I remember the route we took, because we kind of lived in I lived in a town called Hollidaysburg, which was basically just a suburb. And then I went to wait a minute. No. The city was Duncansville, and then the school I went to was in Hollidaysburg, which was a nearby city, and then the bigger city was Altoona. And I remember the route we would take to drive from Duncansville to Hollidaysburg to Altoona to go shopping in the big city, or to the big mall, and that was back when Blockbuster was actually powerful. And my mom and I had a routine where every Friday night we would go out to the town and usually pick up some fast food, usually pizza, and we'd rent some movies from Blockbuster, and I would always rent a game, and I would get to bond with my mom, and that was really fun, because I didn't have very many friends, and we certainly didn't do anything, and that was before I was at the hangout age, so I just, it was kind of a nice memory, and I still remember the color of carpet in the Blockbuster, and I remember walking around it and looking at games and talking to my mom and sharing movies, and it's that part was a good memory. And I learned sports, and the reason, like, until Pennsylvania, I didn't really care about sports. I didn't really have hobbies, because when you're that young, you don't really care. You're more interested in just playing. You don't really think about structured playing. But in Pennsylvania, I started learning about video games, and that's when I got into it. Oh, we're talking about happy memories, and oh man. Heckhound, you have had a great career, you son of a bitch. Oh, it's so sad. Yes, we'll freeze the monster. Heckhound barely fits in the freezy pod. Oh god, even your last picture is all weird. Jesus. Alright, wow. Anyway. Oh god, and now Engel's wounded. We're down to 3 monsters. What the hell is even happening? I'm gonna do a quick emergency save. I think I have 2 save files going for, yeah, this is my emergency save slot. I actually have 3 save files going. So I'm doing an emergency save so I can go to the shrine, and this way, just in case anything happens, we're okay. So let's see. Wait, let me think. Who was in the association? I think it was it's Loza, isn't it? Hi, Cynthia. I'm gonna check to see what we're gonna deal with if we... God, you guys have so much fucking power. That's ridiculous. Okay, yeah. Let's just combine rather than grabbing a disc, because Loza's power inaccurate and Heckhound's power inaccurate. Heckhound lasted longer. Alright, we're gonna... Yeah, let's just combine you two. Get another generate... yes, please. And then... we use the accurate... Oh, I don't have an accuracy stone. Oh, shit. Welp. Let's do a power stone, then. And... Ooh. Ooh. Comparing numbers here. Wow. 207 life just off the birth. That's amazing. And a higher defense? Holy crap. I just lose some speed, but what the fuck ever. Yeah, I could have just done it that way. Alright, we're gonna make another goddamn Pandy Baku. Oh, for the love of Mike. Alright. So, I'm gonna get to my names list here. Oh, Jesus, stop. God damn it. Alright, okay. So, it's been a while since we've needed a name. Okay, I'm looking at my list. Going as far back as I've got, the next person whose name I've got written down was back in episode 63, which means it has been a while. But the user, who is also a fairly loyal fan, is Obstinate Noctura, and requested the name Nocturna, which I believe will just fit. So Nocturna... Oh, I know I've attracted a bunch of fans from this series, and I apologize that, like, when I do these names, I'm going from first come, first serve, basically. So some of you aren't going to see your names done for a while, but what I'm going to do is, if we succeed in doing this finally, and I'm sure we will, because we're doing okay. But once we succeed in our goal, I'm going to carry over the names of those of you who have not had a name yet. I'm going to carry you over to my next game. So I'm going to try to get to you. I promise I will try to get to you. Like, for example, in episode 94, I had 3 people. That's Proton Frog, Vexel123, and Akira Tatakoro have all asked for names. I'm not sure I'm going to get to you guys, but I will definitely try to get to you at least in the next game, because Monster Rancher is going to be a staple of this channel for the rest of my life, apparently. Okay, I'll continue talking about Pennsylvania in just a second. I just need to run a couple... do a couple things here on my chart. Mark that I have now named a creature Nocturna. And update my chart. Okay. Oh god, why are you so huge? Jesus. Alright, so as... Oh, your accuracy's garbage. We're gonna get you to accuracy 15 before we do anything else. Even though you're already a C class, for some goddamn reason. So... Okay, and then you're okay, so you're at 85, you are okay, you're at 85, you are lively, you're at 90. And how many... Let's see, do I have any S's here? Who is my most powerful creature here? That would be Mimi at B class. Okay, that means we are going on an adventure. So what I'm gonna do... I'm gonna go ahead and just split the adventure episode up instead of trying to cram it into one massive episode. So we are going to rest Mimi. Tabby can... Oh god, Tabby needs rest. Tatsumi is gonna go... And Nocturne... Oh, Jesus. Alright, I guess you can start on accuracy, but I'm gonna take you into the adventure. I'm gonna take Tabby adventuring. And Mimi's gonna go adventure. So Tatsumi's gonna be the only one who's actually doing anything. So, alright. Okay. Yeah. This is how we're doing it. Okay, so Nocturna gets yelled at for not giving maximum effort. This is actually good because adventure modes, or adventure days, are times when, I can actually do a lot of, talking about random shit, because it becomes mindless work. So... Nocturna's gonna hate me if I stuff a vitamin down his throat already. I think I'll hold off. Okay, so I was talking about Pennsylvania. So, I have, some good... So, before I moved to Pennsylvania, I didn't have hobbies, because I was too young. And... Once I was in Pennsylvania, I actually started getting into sports, but I got into sports because it was a self-defense move. The self-defense measure, I think that's the proper word. Anyway, see, what was happening was my peers were just assholes, and the only way I could do anything was to at least try to speak to them on their level, and that meant that I had to learn something, and sports was the thing, so I had to get into sports. I didn't give a shit about sports, but I got into football because that's what all the kids were into. We did touch football on recess, so that's where I learned about football. I don't know, I got into it, and since I was in Pennsylvania, and we were closer to Pittsburgh, that's when I got into the Steelers. So I am still a Steelers fan, even though the reason I got into them was kind of sad. Like, the only reason I got into them was because I needed to talk about something to get the kids to stop picking on me all the time. And at least with rudimentary knowledge of the game, I was able to hold some conversation with them about it. And... they left me alone sometimes, but still not usually. It didn't actually work. Because I'll tell you, kids are friggin' cruel and they're assholes. And I know from looking at the numbers and some of the discussions we've had, I know some of you are around maybe not quite that young, but you guys, a lot of you guys probably deal with bullying and stuff, and most of you seem to handle it better than I ever did. But the point is, you know, it got to this point where I was having to try to defend myself in any way possible, because back in those days, because I'm an old man, back in those days, the gaming wasn't big. Like, I was a gamer, sure, but like it didn't really matter to these people. And it was weird because even when I enrolled, I was told that the class ahead of me was into games and the class behind me was into games, but the class I was in, the grade I was in, just didn't really care. And so I had trouble relating to the kids, and that also didn't help. I mean, I came from a divorced family, so they picked on me for that. I have an unusual last name, so they picked on me for that. My dad is not white, so they picked on me for that. And just, it was this constant avalanche of emotional abuse and insults, and it drove me insane and really affected my personality. That's why I don't trust most people. It's why I always have trouble. It's why I usually don't take people at their word when they tell me that, you know, they're going to do something. It's all bad, and it's unfair of me to treat everybody the same way that, like, as a defense against what how the bullies treated me. You know, but it's something I can't help. It's that deeply ingrained. And then when I moved to Ohio, there was still bullying. It was different, and it was more physical, but I still hadn't learned how to deal with it. And I have a feeling... Oh, Jesus. I have a feeling that if I was able to have my current mentality, maybe not necessarily maturity, but if I had my current mentality when it comes to people, I don't think the bullies would have been able to affect me as badly as they did. But that's all, you know, theoretical and what ifs and whatever, so it doesn't really help anything. It just is an interesting academic exercise trying to think how my life could have been different, kind of thing. Okay, can you guys search for anything? Ooh, Tabby can do water search. Cool. Okay. I remember what the fucking tag button is. There we go. That's one way to dive in the water, I suppose. Yay! We've got a fish bone. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Oh, and you may have noticed I'm in the ruins. I actually do prefer the volcano because it gives you higher experience points. That's why I kept going back there. But the weakest creatures of the volcano are A-class, and Mimi here is a B-class. So because we have a B-class bodyguard, I didn't want to go to the A-class area, you know? So... But I think we'll be fine here. She has proven herself pretty well so far. So we'll just grind here for a bit, and still for about another minute or so. But if you guys ever had any questions about any of my experiences, you know, ask me anything in the comments and I'll try to address it. It's always hard to kind of do that for the YouTube shows since I record these usually about a week to 2 weeks in advance of when you see them. And I don't really have, other than my Twitter account and my Facebook account, I really don't have a forum for being able to respond to you quickly, and I don't get enough comments to justify doing like a Markiplier version of read your comments video or whatever. But if you ever have questions about anything, you know, please ask me, especially if you find yourself in that kind of situation. Because part of the reason why I think the bullies got to me so badly in Pennsylvania and Ohio was because I never had anyone to talk to. I actually went to a therapist as a kid who, and I am not making this up, the therapist who talked to me as a kid was more concerned about whether I was transgender than anything else. And I'm not, you know, I get that that's important, because I have a few of you, my closest viewers, are transgender or genderqueer. The Akamura is genderqueer, and that's, you know, not great. It's not bad. It's nothing. It's just who you are. But like, it was weird that my therapist then was like so focused on wanting to make sure I was cis. Not that that was a term back then. It was just weird. Like, I took a personality test and he went over it and he's like, well, it seems you don't want to be a girl. It seems you're happy you're a boy. It's a good thing you're a boy. It's very good that you think you're still a boy. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Can we talk about why the bullies are attacking me now? But he did zero good. He did zero good. He was obsessed about making sure I wanted to be a boy and keeping me away from porn. Like that, and I'm fucking like 10 at this point. So I barely comprehend what porn is about. So it was just weird. But he was the only person I had to talk to because the adults at that time were actually encouraging they were either telling me to ignore it or they were encouraging the kids to bully me because they thought that it would make me tougher, I guess. So I had all of these weird, bad, stupid experiences for no frickin' reason, and it pissed me off. And I had no one I could even vent to. Like, if you guys ever, like, what? Oh, is that a cave? Oh, I thought that was a high. So, if nothing else, if you can just vent and get it out of your system, I'm always here for you. You know, you can always contact me on Facebook or Twitter. You can always email me. I don't think I haven't talked about my email address very much. It's pyrofalkon@hotmail.com. Yes, Hotmail. I am very old. Anyway, but yeah, you can always, and even if you just need someone to talk to, because I can't solve your problems, you know, nobody can really solve your problems. At least not remotely, which sucks, because I would have loved to have been able to talk to someone back then and been like, okay, you know, help me and give me a solution here. But like back then, you know, even if I had my mentality, there would be no solution. You just have to let it kind of roll off your back, but it's hard. It's almost impossible to let that shit roll off your back. So, but if you ever need to vent, if you ever need to talk, please just contact me. I will always listen to you. It may take me a bit to respond, but I will always listen to you or read what you want to say to help you get through it. Because if nothing else, it's my way of paying it forward since I had no one to help me. And honestly, there are days nowadays where I feel like there's no one to help me through it. When I start having bad days at work and whatnot, or start being down on myself or whatever. But I want you to know I'm here for you, not just for Monster Ranger. But I need to call an end to this episode because we have run to 22 minutes, and I don't want to turn this into a super episode. But in the next one, we're going to continue our quest through the Prometheus Ruins, or whatever it's called, and hopefully get some experience points, especially for Mimi, or rather Tavi, because even though Tavi has moves, I kind of want Windlore, because Windlore is the only thing that matters. Yeah. See? I knew I was going to work it in. Thanks for watching, everyone. We will see you tomorrow for another episode.